and they just gave me the documents. I didn't even have a single credit for the first year. And I'm already in the third year saying, how come? I say, give me the credits. I'm transferring. Oh, they say, no, you need to. I say, I represented you, did everything for you, and this is how you treat me. They say, yes.
Need to learn, right?
I need to study. Yes. And I thought that since I am an athlete and perform, they kind of kicked me out from there too. Then I enrolled in Armavir in law, again the first year in absentia. There I studied, attended, checked in, and they knew that I was already a UFC fighter and kind of made some concessions. That's where I finished law school. Although because of the traveling and so on, you could say I did it for my mom.
In advance, right?
In advance, yes. This diploma, I don't know why she needed it, but for me, so to speak, this diploma is not needed because, to tell the truth, I'm not going to say that I'm some kind of scholar or anything like that. I'm an athlete, and won't be able to work as a lawyer just for my mom, sort of, so that I have, because it's important for mom. It was always important for her to have a diploma, like she would say, some relative got a red diploma.
I said, all right, Mom, I'll bring you a red diploma. I couldn't get the red one. They didn't give it, but they gave me a blue one.
I graduated from the law faculty in Armavir.
Well, I think, yes, it should be for the record. In principle, I understand my mom. I'm also getting a second degree now, studying to be a manager. Honestly, I also get asked, why? Why? You are an extremely busy person. Why do you need this? Well, somehow I need it. I don't know. I am also studying, trying at least to study. And your move, yes, from Khabarovsk to Krasnodar, coincided with my departure from Krasnodar to Grozny. And yes, we crossed paths. I'll remember it a bit later at the Russian Championship. We crossed paths, and I noticed how you were such a simple, modest guy. Back then, I didn't know you, and you didn't know me.
Well, we crossed paths at NART, I think, at Eurobatman's.
I remember you.
We crossed paths, did we?
Yes, we crossed paths in NART. We were there a couple of times.
And look how it turned out. We competed in the last city championship, and I competed there, and in the final I lost very controversially. I don't like to talk about fair or unfair judging, but it was really controversial. The Isaiah had beaten before. Must I won before? That time I won, this time I lost, although I didn't consider myself defeated. And then at the regional competition, a friend tells me, you know, he says, a guy came from the Far East and just dominated the region. He beat the one you lost to and the one you beat, and beat another. I think, whoa, what kind of beast is that, I wonder? And it so happened that, yes, I left in January and you at least were wrestling in February. But it was a good time too. And what is your move to Krasnodar related to? Why did you decide to change Khabarovsk for Krasnodar?
I lived in Khabarovsk. The grappling coach lived there. Then I started doing grappling. He moved to Krasnodar 6 months later. Yes, сега и то Rosian and I came to him, lived with him, trained with him. And it was at that moment, I think, when I competed in grappling. And I liked this city so much because it's warm and nice here. And the coach was here too. And so I moved here at 20 years old. At 20 years old, I had already moved to Krasnodar permanently. And just, I really like it here and liked it because of the weather. Since in Khabarovsk it's very cold in winter and the competition here is better. The sparring partners were much better. I went to North everywhere. We didn't have our own gym. That's why we trained at North.
Did you move your parents later, yes?
Parents, yes, parents. When I was 22, 23, they moved then. And it was convenient a lot to fly to competitions. All the competitions took place in the Moscow region, mainly there. Yaroslavl, Obninsk, I thought it would be better to stay here. And Dagestan is nearby. I was in training camps in Chechnya, and I was in Dagestan. I was in Tolstoyurt, in Berkut.
Yes, I remember your thirst for knowledge, for development. In this regard, you probably went to the most challenging places, stepping out of your comfort zone. And that's why your progress was, in principle, understandable. But let's recall the 2015 Russian Grappling Championship, ADC version, and we competed with Leon Yagotovsky in Yaroslavl.
Do you remember this tournament?
A year before that, there was also a youth tournament, the Russian Championship. I won it.
And I was still young. I was 18 or 17. And the next year when we were wrestling together, I thought I would fit in with the men, thinking, well, I've already won among the youth. I need to compete with the men. And in the first or second match, I think I got caught in a guillotine.
Yes, I remember we had the whole Abdukadirov competing with us. Shamit Khan Magomedov, you lost in the first round, I think, because you weren't free. I was free in the first round, but didn't win the match. Well, you were in the same weight class, right? Yes, we were in the same weight class from different sides. And I lost to a guy like, I don't even remember what happened there. I was on top the whole match, and at first I think they didn't give points, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a different version, but there was a very strong Shamit Khan Magomedov who eventually won, and Abdukadirov. I remembered you there, but to be honest, later on seeing you, I thought, Monok, wow, this guy is aiming far, I remember there were talks about the UFC. Honestly, there was a certain skepticism back then. What do you think, what allowed you to go so far and sign with the UFC? Because essentially, it seems to me that you deliberately didn't sign with promotions in Russia to avoid burdening yourself with contracts. And I thought, Arman didn't fight all the top fighters in Russia, but he got into the UFC. How will he perform there? He performed well. But
What do you think made it happen? Well, now life is beautiful, everything is good for me, but in reality I worked hard, lived in basements, lived there. Well, I put myself in such conditions that I had nothing. Well, so to speak, my father could give me any money I wanted, but I would come to Dagestan and travel by minibus like all the guys to motivate myself. Living there for 500 or 300 rubles a day, and I put myself in these conditions like I had nothing. I needed to do something, and it was really a tough path for me. They just killed me in the gym. I remember when I came to Dogfighter, Marat Gafurov was already fighting in NFC and was a champion. I didn't know anything, so I just stood with him and fought, and the next day my head hurt so much. Magomed Rasul Kasbulev was also there. Well, no one would spar with them at all. But I went and stood because I thought that if I stood with them, I would become stronger. Due to my drive, I always wanted to be the best. Everywhere, all over Russia, all over the world, I flew, trained with everyone, and well, honestly, it was tough. At some moments, I thought this wasn't my sport because it wasn't working out. It was hard to get the stance right. But knowing myself, I never wanted to stop. Always wanted, to achieve. And I already started, when I realized that I need to love, I didn't have a person who would say, listen, do it like this, do it like that. I was like a guinea pig for myself. There I saw Khabib. He says, drink 8 liters of water. You drink, then suddenly stop, and the water leaves on its own. I'm lying at home. I have a weigh-in tomorrow. I stopped drinking 8 liters, and I'm waiting for this water to leave, so to speak, through the bathroom, right? And in the morning, I have 6 extra kilograms. Well, at that time, there was no coach to tell me what to do, how to train, how to eat. And Sergei Maximovich, he coached grappling, then he stepped back, worked, and I myself, for example, during the first 3 years when I was competing, he only went with me to my 8th professional fight. Yes, for the 8th fight, he was in my corner for the first time. And during that period, we didn't train together. When I started at 18 and until I was 20, I think, until 21, I trained by myself, traveled all over the world. He was working, he was involved in structures, so he couldn't manage. Then he had more time and he started getting involved. And by that time, I already knew how to eat, how to cut weight. So we were kind of growing together, he on his side and I on mine.
What was the question? I got sidetracked. Well, yes, how did you manage? Basically, you answered it. And thanks to drive, yes, thanks to drive, desire.
The beginning of my career, I met Kamil Gadzhiev. He saw me when I was fighting at the Russian Championship among men. I was 19, 18 years old at SAM, right? Yes, I defeated all the top fighters we had in the Far East there. He accidentally saw me in Thailand and he said, I watched your fights in the Far East, you're really good. And all those top fighters, the ones we know, did you fight with all of them? Well, yes. For example, there weren't exactly top fighters in the Far East, but still, roughly speaking, they fought 6-0, 7-0, 9-0. Sagit Alibekov, Sagi fought, different guys fought there. A lot of guys from Dagestan. Well, Kamil said that you have 5-1 there. I said, maybe you could sign me to fight night there. He says, no, it's better for you to fight a little everywhere. Don't sign anything with anyone, not in. And then they offered me a contract in in ACB, 2+2.
I even remember, no, 3+3. At that time, it was a lot of money for me. You're 19 years old, let's say, 5'1" or 6'1". Zhernakov was the manager then, so he called, and I thought, wow, 3+3, $6,000 at 19 years old. Well, I need to now, need to. And when I talked to Kamil, he said, it's better for you to fight a little bit everywhere and then try overseas. And I listened to him, for which I'm very grateful. That was the question, Arman, and you, of course, trained and believed in yourself. That was the question for us, for the viewers, the level of opposition, right? Even now, I was watching, refreshing my memory, who you fought against.
Ustad Dalen were tough guys there, and again, just might think that loss was accidental, then you avenged it. Yes, you missed the guy, I think, Alexander Mereshko.
Yes, Mariska.
A very strong guy. But they weren't at top level. Yes, you went through them, of course, and there were doubts about your readiness for the UFC. And when they announced your fight against Islam Makhachev, I thought, wow, this guy is taking such a big risk. On one hand, a guaranteed contract. On the other hand, Islam in the very first fight. How hard was it for you to make the decision to take this fight?
Not for a second. Well, imagine, UFC offers you a contract. I think even if they offered with Ngannou, I would have fought. Because, well, you work your whole life for this, and you understand that the risk might be justified. You don't just sign up. I'm the kind of person that if someone tells me this person is a world champion, you won't beat him. I'll say, how won't I win? You can win. He's human. He also has 2 legs, 2 arms. How can you not win against him? I mean, I don't have a limit in my head. I have friends who, well, when talking about business, right, I tell them, I need this much, I need that, I need this. No, bro, this much is enough. So they set a limit for themselves. I had a limit, Islam Makhachev. For example, now when I got into the UFC, getting into the top 15, I made it to the top 15, then said such a pass, such a one tap. Said, man, right now my goal is to win the title, and then we'll see.
Did you feel you had any chances to win that fight?
Yes, there were chances, yet just lacked a bit of experience. Somewhere tried to wrestle too much. Should have just worked more on the stand-up, not tried to take him down, wasting all the energy. Lacked experience, and then when you, so to speak, grab a leg and can't take down, you need to change something, switch to defense, let go, strikes or save energy somewhere. Well, so to speak, if I fight now, I know where to rest, where to push, where to ease up, when I'm losing, well, experience has come. And the coaches told me not to wrestle, to work on my stand-up, but for some reason I wanted to prove that I could take him down. Just a lot of people said that I couldn't take him down, couldn't do anything to him in wrestling. Because of that, this childish ego, was inside me.
Do you think you gave Islam Makhachev the toughest fight in the UFC?
No, he had a tough fight with Poirier and a tough fight with Volkanovski, where he took a lot of damage. He didn't take any damage from me. It was just a close fight. Those 2 rounds were kind of unclear. He clearly took the 3rd round.
Did you agree with the decision?
Yes, to be honest, I just thought it would be a split decision because the first round was so close, the second round was close. I thought maybe some judges would give it to me, some to him, but I felt that I lost because I clearly gave away the 3rd round. I gave away 2 or 3 extra takedowns.
Here is the effect of Khabib or Khabib's presence in his team. And Khabib, the guy, yes, whom everyone looked at as a special pioneer and so on. Did this somehow interfere with you in the confrontation with Islam, even later when your fight was discussed and ultimately did not happen and so on?
No, on the contrary, it motivated me. You think he has such a team with people like that backing him.